Hey everyone, welcome back to another edition of the Pick Six. It's a special edition because we're here at NFL Network, and look who we found to help us out. MJD. What's up, man?
How you doing?
I'm doing great. Now you're dressed up, you look good, you were just on camera for NFL Network, Mock Draft Live. So before we answer these fan questions, who'd you mock to us?
Well, first of all I have to say this, Kennedy Pola is a good friend of mine. Drafted me to Jacksonville, so I thought I had a little insight, didn't call him or anything, but watching the games, understand how he thinks and how Gary Kubiak thinks and all those guys is you got to go out and draft the offensive lineman. You got to kind of solidify that offensive line to be able to run the ball the way they want to in that zone system, as well as protect Kirk Cousins on bootlegs and quick throwing. So I think Cody Ford out of Oklahoma is a great pick, and that's the one I gave you guys. Get a nastier, rugged offensive lineman, and that's something that we all fail to realize. The finish factor in offensive lineman is a key for me, and that's what he does well.
Well, Zim wants to get tougher in the trenches, so that'll make him happy.
There's a guy that gets you tougher.
I have a feeling we're going to have some offensive line questions here from the fans, so let's get to it, all right? Question number one. Maurice, with Latavius gone, what's the best way to complement Dalvin Cook? This question is from Sarah in Kansas City.
Well, Sarah, that's a great question. I think you want to either draft a guy similar to Dalvin Cook, just so when he comes off the field, you don't have to change the offense. I think Latavius Murray did a great job in the tight red zone, short yardage, and goal line. He was your bigger back, but I think Dalvin can do those as well. You just want to get a guy to complement him. And so in that situation, you may draft a guy in the 4th or 5th round, who's similar to him. And I'm just trying to think of a guy off the top of my head. I would have said Miles Sanders, but I think he's moved up a little bit to the 2nd round. You may be looking at a guy like Singletary out of FAU that's similar, maybe not as explosive speed-wise, but elusive enough that can do the same things.
Vikings also have on the roster Amir Abdullah and Mike Boone, so they will be in that competition as well. All right, question number 2. From Jerry in Elk River, Minnesota, what's an example of a Kubiak wrinkle to this Kevin Stefanski offense?
Oh, wow. Well, I think you're going to see a lot of outside zone runs. First of all, I love Gary Kubiak, and I've studied his offense from afar, played in it with Kyle Shanahan when I was at UCLA. He was our GA, and Tom Cable, we ran a similar offense. Wow. But, playing in Jacksonville, playing against it. So you're going to see a lot of outside zone, a lot of bootleg action. It's all going to look the same. That's the wrinkle that you're going to see that's going to open up more of the passing game. They still had 1,000-yard receivers, and you guys have 2 really good receivers with really good tight ends, so he'll find ways to utilize those guys and get them into space.
Familiar language for Kirk Cousins in this Gary Kubiak scheme as well. So, all right, question number 3 from Wes in Anaheim, California, out here. Why do we like to rotate defensive linemen, but we want to keep the same 5 offensive linemen on the field?
Well, so defensive linemen, they get tired because you're reacting all the time and you're going against bigger guys. You want to have fresh guys out there. And they're on attack mode, where offensive linemen, I have to know how you think. So being cohesive and understanding each other, it pays better dividends than to rotate offensive linemen in and out. You see a lot of that in youth football. You may see some of that in high school football, but as you get older, you want to make sure that guys are comfortable with who they're blocking with because you're asking them to do so many different things.
Okay, all right, this is going to be a tricky one for you because you're in on Vikings taking an offensive lineman. But Ben from Covington, Georgia says, if TJ Hockenson or a similarly graded tight end is graded higher than an offensive tackle or an offensive guard, would you nab him at number 18?
Well, if he's at 18, then I think you probably go best player available. But I don't think he'll be there at 18. Okay. I think that he's done a tremendous job throughout the process of the combine and what he put on tape and all those in his interviews that he may go higher. And you never in the draft, I've been a big person, I don't ever reach for guys that, oh, well, I always try to take best player available, and there's so many really good offensive linemen here that I think if Hawkinson's there, you take him. If not, you have a great pick in O-line.
Okay, here we go. Question number 5. What is the role of an assistant head coach? This is from Josh Anderson in River Falls, and this is Gary Kubiak, who's the offensive advisor to Kevin Stefanski, and he's Zim's assistant head coach. So you mentioned those coaches that you've been with. Kyle Shanahan, you've been on a lot of different teams. An assistant head coach, what's he going to do?
It really, I think it allows Coach Zim to focus solely on the defense and not have to worry about the offense. Now the assistant head coach will be the head coach of the offense. Normally, if you look, I work for the Los Angeles Rams, so Sean McVay is the head coach of the offense, Wade Phillips the head coach of the defense, Bones Foss was the head coach of special teams. That's kind of how you want to run it. Obviously, with Stefanski being so young or new in the coordinator position, that you want to have an older veteran guy that can he can lean on, and it's not Zim having to overlook all the time. So that's what you're going to get in that assistant head coach role.
All right, final question, number 6 from Rick in Winnipeg. Another area I feel is important is undrafted free agency, where we can get players like Holton Hill, who was a corner for us who stepped up late in the season. This is an area where we can gain an advantage. So your perspective and experience with undrafted free agents, I'm sure you played with a lot of good ones in your day.
You know what? It's definitely a place where you can get guys that might have fallen out of the draft, or and it's a bidding war there. And I think that's where the first part of free agency kind of started. I've played with free agents that have made a lot of money. I played with some that haven't made money, but they've made an impact on our team. It's important to find a guy that fits your system, though. You just don't want to go out there and just get a talented guy that doesn't fit your system. So that's what's important about the undrafted, and you guys have done a great job with that. I want to say 1 or 2 of your running backs were undrafted last year. Obviously, Holton Hill.
Yep, here's another one. Adam Thielen.
Adam Thielen, exactly. So you get
He worked out.
Right, and so you're going to get a lot of guys where you can make that, and that goes to the scouting department guys and the coaches who have looked at guys and identified guys who can fit what you want to do. And I think you guys have done a great job with that. So no concerns.
Well, you did a great job with pick 6. I'm a little nervous they're going to replace me.
No, not at all. Not at all.
All right, thanks, man. Appreciate your time.
Yes.